They almost died out, the groups of singers 20 years ago. You could have counted them on the fingers of your two hands. Only elderly people were maintaining that traditional way of singing. They sing acapella, choir-like. And then all over the world you had the return by the youth towards their ethnicity, to say so. And now we have an abundance again of these young groups that are keeping alive.
Egyptian. Diocletian actually recaptured Egypt during his reign of being emperor.
Egypt, yeah?
He probably brought that back from Egypt, yeah, in his reign. So this is the old city. This is where people now live, banks and hotels. This is where we just came out.
That triangular part here, that is 1700 years old. It is preserved more or less intactly. It even kept its old Roman name, being peristyle, and the peristyle square as a yard means actually a square combining all aspects of life within a city. Try to recall the way the palace looked as I showed it to you on the waterfront when we started off. Here we have the across-going street. So to that northern part we had the military barrack. Then it comes through the spiritual part of the palace, behind the bell tower, the mausoleum, in this narrow street, Jupiter's temple, and under these two buildings we had the two smaller temples dedicated to Cybele and Venus. And as I told you already in the part we came through, on it goes into his private chambers. The peristyle was officially, or not officially, but originally, would be a better word, open to both sides, meaning it looked similar to the way it still looks on this side here. You do recognize that black piece, don't you? Of course, and you're perfectly right, an original Egyptian Sphinx. One of 15 of them that he borrowed from Egypt. He obviously never gave them back. They were over 2,000 years old when he took them from there. They're made out of black Egyptian granite, and they were standing all over the palace. If you wonder why, you should know that Sphinx is the ruler of the underworld. Also, it stands for immortality. And every Roman emperor, no matter how great he felt, and they all felt to be divine, thought to be one of the chosen ones and immortal. Sooner or later they would find out that they were not, but hence the Sphinx. When Diocletian dies, Christians come into the palace, obviously, and that's no justification, but I guess that's the way it happened. They couldn't cope with the Sphinxes, they were opposed to their beliefs, so they smashed them. Today we have only 3 of them, a tiny one in the basements, but in a room that they are restoring, so I couldn't show it to you. This is the only complete one, and there is a third, Egypt. That's red granite from Aswan. I wish you had brought more of that stuff, then I could show you it. In the 15th century, wealthy families get the permission to close in this side. Left and right building are family homes. The one in the mid with the balconies was first the bishop's palace. When they finished that top floor in beautiful Renaissance style, 17th century, the mayor moves in. Between the world wars, it was an illegal red light district, but then the ladies were kindly asked to clear it. They restore it completely and install a nice cafe, which is called Luxor by purpose. Sphinx, Aswan, Luxor, because for 55 big enough to become a church at that time, but luckily not big enough to have a baptistry integrated in that very same building. I say luckily because actually that's the only reason why this former, originally Roman Jupiter's temple had
The Baptist, we're in the baptistry.
in writing that
Some Centurions from Diocletian's time here. Nice red headdresses. Pretty legs. Sandals, looking like probably very authentic sandals. A gladiator.
euros to take a picture with them. They are paid again by the tourist board, so just join them. Take a picture. If you want to tip them a couple of kuna, that's up to you, but they're not allowed to charge you, just for you to know. If you're in the city today afternoon at 3 o'clock, no spectacle, but they've got sir. And you have a look down to the left, you will be seeing the western gate, but we will see it again from the outside. It looks much nicer. Unfortunately, in the early 70s, they allowed such disgusting things to be built. I would love to meet the architect, shake his hand and break his hand, so he can never design something ugly like that. It's
the inside of a bank here. That was built on the Roman floor. He's just pointed out this sewer opening like a indent. And this clerk is standing on the Roman floor. The desks, 1700-year-old Roman structure.
in a yard. I didn't study Latin, but I love the way they called these yards propugnatulum, and it means inner defense yard. Try to picture a medieval castle,
Northern
the same
gate.
principle. There was a solid door that was always closed in this arch. Behind the red bricks we have the guard path. They would try to attract as many of the enemy into this yard, and you see the slug in the arch. Another door would slide down. And then whatever they had handy, and that would be boiling hot water or rocks, they would throw from above onto the enemy. As the city was growing outside the walls of the Roman palace, they installed little chapels as symbolic guards in the city. Here it is in that former guard path. Also say like we do, curiosity killed the cat. Let's first wrap up the story with the palace. Do you realize that this here is the first time that we have ever left the palace? After I took you down into... Don't you have a Golden Gate Bridge?
This is the width of the palace. We're standing sort of in the middle area.
It was the most important of all the entrances. Hence, Porta Aurea, Golden Gate in translation. The half-rounded openings that we have to both sides of that gate used to be originally open. These were former guard paths. As the people were moving into the palace, and when the best locations, living ancient Roman urban structure in the entire world. And that's a nice fact to have in your own city. Now about this young gentleman. N-I-N, it's a little place about 100 miles away.
Gregory from
He lived
Nîmes,
here at the end of the
with the
9th
bishop.
of the 10th century.
10th century.
He comes to split the two church congresses, trying to fight out with the church, wanting them to introduce Croatian during church service instead of the Latin Sphinx. There he was pointing with his long finger against the bell tower, accusing the church for having him killed. In World War II, today we're best friends, but in World War II the Italians were the first to take over. At that time they want to Italianize everybody, so they don't like him at all. They cut him. Have a good look, you can still see the across-going lines. They cut him into 5 pieces, and they bury him not far away from the old town. He wasn't found until 58, about where the emperor was born. But the real wave of Jewish settlers arrived here actually with the Church Inquisition. And they arrived here just when the plague was over, and they were given by the authorities devastated homes that were of course sanitized and mainly located in this part here. Rodrigo Street is dedicated to a Portuguese Jew, a wealthy person who, when he arrived here, established his life again, invested a lot into the local infrastructure. And you see the second and third door there, the mezuzah in the door frame, which is the old symbol that these houses once belonged to Jewish families. That corner tower outside of the palace.
Going to these are the streets that the people have built within the city walls. Neighborhoods. He just talked about a Jewish neighborhood. We're going to walk by a synagogue in a moment. This is the windows to the synagogue. This must be the back of it. Here